Good evening, everybody. If I can have your attention, we're going to get tonight's proceedings going. First, I want to thank all of my current board members. So when I call your name, please stand. Amber Larson, she's our treasurer and with Big Sioux Media. Marlena Wenzel, she's our secretary with Quest Church. Where did Marlena?
She just ran in the back.
Oh, look at that. And it's live. Mark DeGraw with JR Alterations.
Bathroom.
Oh. All right. Rebecca Fritz with Fed Bond.
I'm here.
Jason right there, she's already standing. Jeff Kistler with Farmers Insurance. And Mayor Tom Early, he's our city liaison. And I'm Dan Allers, I'm your current president, but only for a few more minutes. So thank you all for being here this evening. Let's give all of these guys a round of applause. They really do some great work, and as someone who's been working with the chamber since about 2012, each year we have just, our board has grown, been more active. They really take a lot of their own personal time to help make things happen for the business community of Del Rapids. So I can't thank them enough. It's been a great team to be a part of. Excuse me. It is, you know, I've been trying to get rid of this position as president for about 3 years now, and I'm about to succeed for the first time in 3 years. And while I joke about it, it's really important to have leadership transition. It's been a great group to be a part of. It's been a fun organization to help develop and grow, and to see where we've come in the last 9 years now is just amazing, and I hope that all of you are starting to see it as business owners too. We've grown in membership. We've grown in membership levels where people that were once bronze members are now silver and gold members. And we really appreciate your support. And above and beyond the money that you contribute, the time that you contribute to our group, helping us make those events successful. And I think that you all deserve a round of applause for all of your work and all of your support of the Del Rapids community. I'm just going to cover a few highlights for this past year, if we want to call all of it highlights, but it's been a different year. It's been a struggle, I think, for all the businesses in this community, but I think that we've done a good job coming together, working together, and even though business has been down for some have been fortunate enough to have their business up, which is a good thing. But it doesn't happen without all of us working together. And the Chamber's role in that this year has been out there with our emails, working through constant contact to get you the most updated information on things like the payroll protection program, what your local banks are offering. We have been offering COVID bags in conjunction with our work with the city. You may have seen it when you walked in. There is a box and a bag that comes with masks, sanitizer, some posters. That's something more recent that we've done. It was in one of our recent newsletters and email. It's also on our website. We did deliver some of them out, but if you want one, we still have some left. They are free and they're for you to use. That's one of the partnerships that we've done with the city that's worked so well, and we really appreciate your support in all of this. The events that we held this year were a little different. Unfortunately, some we had to cancel, some had to be modified. Even with the big one, Quarry Days, not happening this year, we worked with the Auto Club and the Sportsman's Club so that we had our fishing derby, and we still have the car show this year. We've modified the Easter egg hunt to a drive-through, and we had our downtown trick-or-treat became a drive-through. But it was really a success, and the families really enjoyed and appreciated the work that you guys did as business owners. Those of you that came down to the park, participated, dressed in costume, and helped make things as normal as we possibly could for the members of our community. So thank you very much for that work. These events, and because of the success of these events, have garnered a lot of media attention for Dell Rapids. Almost every one of our events is at Kello or KSFY or KDLT here doing stories about Dell Rapids. And that's a big thing. Dell Rapids is becoming a spot where our news stations are watching to see what we're doing next. It's getting the attention of other chambers around us, and we're getting phone calls and emails saying, hey, how can we do something like the event that you just held? So really appreciate all of the work that you guys are doing and your participation. We've also done quite a bit of advertising in our local papers. We're doing more on Facebook this year. Our Facebook page reached 210,000 plus people with nearly 30,000 engagements. Engagements are people liking that or sharing it or making a comment on there. That's a pretty incredible feat. It's a very significant increase over the previous year. And we're already beating that pace this year. So far this year, we've reached nearly 20,000 people. That's up 137% from the previous 2 months. Our engagements are up 127% from our previous 2 months. And our page likes are up 413%. And that's all due to the work that you guys do, the shares, the likes, the encouragement that you give other people to follow our page that help us advertise your business in the Dell Rapids community. One of the newest events that was started last year that our administrator who recently resigned, Mindy LaFontaine, started was Battle of the Buns. And we just finished our second Battle of the Buns. And this year we had an 11% increase in sales based on the votes that were turned in. A total of 768 votes. Now I know there were more burgers than that. Sometimes people forget to fill out ballots. But that's a pretty good increase. And I have the privilege to announce the winner. Does anybody know the winner yet? You worked on the award. Well, good. The secret's been kept fairly well then. So, with an 86% rating of loved it on their burgers, this year's winner of Battle of the Buns goes to Pins. We gotta have the guy that
She always said she wanted
So-
it, so I got it.
this plaque here is made by Ground Cabinetry, and it's so cool. I think it's a neat way to do an award. What better way to show off the Battle of the Buns winners? Here, you can hold it. You can hold it here. Sure. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's pretty exciting to see that this competition grow. We're hoping it grows next year. We might have a few more participants even next year say, hey, I want in on this. So that's a good sign. We're excited. I love to see the creations that our businesses come up with. There were some really good ones to try this year. And I can't wait to see what is on the menu for next year. So once again, a round of applause for Pins. So we have a little business to do this year. We don't usually have much, but this year is a little different. First, does everyone that is a business have one chamber ballot? Is anybody missing, doesn't have a chamber ballot? Okay, good. So we're going to walk through this ballot a little bit. In your packet, there are profiles, 2 of them belong to currently appointed board members. So after the previous annual banquet, we had a couple of board members that resigned. They went to a different business, moved. So we brought on Jeff Kistler and Rebecca Fritz. Now, what is needed here is for the membership to just affirm their placement on the board, whether or not to accept them. So if the majority of the people here tonight vote to accept them, they will be affirmed as members by the membership of the Del Rapids Chamber of Commerce. Now, the next section is elect new board members. There are 3 of us that are leaving the board, and we need to have a replacements. So Tammy McKillop, Leslie Dunekirken, Nate O'Brien are those candidates. There's also a blank space. If someone here tonight would like to nominate someone, we can add them to the ballot. But these 3 candidates here all turned in an application to become a board member. So are there any other nominations? Anybody that would like to nominate someone for a board position? If not, can I get a motion to accept the ballot of those 3?
So moved.
Oh, moved by Sandy. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, second by Mark. All right. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so we have that full slate. Then the final is adopting changes to the bylaws. All of you should have a copy of the revised bylaws of the Del Rapids Chamber of Commerce. And if you want to follow along, you're welcome to. Basically, what we've done here is we have, in Article 2, we have changed some of the language. We moved material to civic to put it in line with what other chambers have in their mission statement for purposes. And we capitalize the city of Del Rapids. In Article 3, you have nonprofit added in there and a comma. The nonprofit was added to keep in line with Section 2 where it mentions nonprofit organization. Further down on page 2, you will see some changing in the language for the annual meetings. We struck February and put the first quarter of each year. The reason we are asking for this is flexibility with our speakers. Most of our annual banquets come with a motivational speaker or a guest speaker of some kind, and sometimes it's difficult to get everybody scheduled in the month of February. Then we changed the term secretary to board of directors. We added electronic mail to recognize email. The rest of it's grammar changes. And then on page 3, just some grammar changes. Changing the notification from 2 weeks to 5 days to put it in line with the previous section. Is everybody following along all right? You all good? Okay. And then changing city to local newspaper and or online to recognize online email, websites, those types of things. More of the same in section 3 under special meetings. Section 4, just consolidating the language. Article 5 under directors. More grammar changes. On the next page in section 5, just clarification, grammar, There's only one change on that page. The next page, under the duties of vice president, we took out any gender references. Those are a bit dated. They even had a section in here that talks about it means he, it means she, and if it's she, it means he. Those things, that's all antiquated language. Change the term coordinator to administrator to recognize the full-time position of our employee. Section 6 does more of that. Changes coordinator to administrator, recognizing the difference in duties. And then the following page, more of the same. The next page on section 5, just some grammar changes and striking out the additional language about the masculine and feminine genders. And that is pretty much it. Does anyone have questions on any of those changes? If not, that'll be the final thing that you'll vote on, is whether or not to adopt those changes to the bylaws on the ballot. So do we have any questions about the ballot? If not, at this time, go ahead and vote, and here in about 2 minutes, we'll have Brandon and Marlene come around and pick all the ballots up. Thank you.
Oh, apparently my picture wasn't good enough. Oh, I didn't know. I texted you, did you? I took the opportunity to do You know, you don't really go on the, no, I'm saying it's all ratified. Oh, sure. These are actually Rebecca. No, I will not. Oh, I just thought, I'm like, if you're like, Midland fans, don't get just cute. I don't think cute. Parents never just have good pictures of them like you. So I took a picture and then I sent it to them because I can't see it. And I was like, this is crazy.
What's also noticed in the table, there's also volunteer cards. Those who have interested in participating, there are a handful of options on there. If you're interested, go ahead and fill it out, and we'll pick those up at the end of the night. Yeah, right when you walk. Yeah, I gotta take a picture of it before I face it. No problem.
Whatever his kids are.
My wife starts at 5:30. Actually, my wife work out stay out there tonight. Perfect. I get it. It might take a half an hour to get. Should be.
And the entire ballot, with the majority of the members here, has been ratified. So we have our two current board members, Jeff Kistler and Rebecca Fritz, have been affirmed by the majority. And all three of our new board members elect were adopted, as well as the changes to the bylaws. So thank you, everybody, for that. Now we move on into the fun part of the evening. So the first award tonight is the Community Spirit Award. This award recognizes the efforts of businesses, organizations, or individuals that host and promote social and fundraising festivities that help build the community, the spirit, and integration of the Dell Rapids community. The Chamber this year has recognized two organizations for their efforts during this challenging past year. The first recipient has been actively supporting the Chamber on nearly every event this year. When we've asked, they've been there, they've contributed, they have helped us do so much for our children's events like the Easter egg hunt and our trick-or-treat for the kids. They have been there to support us at Christmas at the Dells and have been a sponsor for, I think, every single event this year. And tonight, they are our dessert sponsor. So, with much appreciation and much thanks, we would like to first recognize Minnehaha Funeral Home as a 2020 Community Spirit Award recipient.
On behalf of my dad, Myron, and the staff members Evan Hansen and Jeff Nelson, we try to give back to every community that we're a part of, and Dell
Thank you guys very much.
Staff Myron.
You can stand in the middle.
Short man.
Yeah. The important guy in the middle. Thank you, guys. Our second recipient tonight has been equally as active in our community. They've been evolved and adapted their services to meet the challenges of COVID this year. While other services like theirs have closed or have had limited services across the state, this group has provided drive-up service, purchased special sanitizing equipment to limit the spread of COVID, and hosted numerous online meetings, readings, and children's events. Their efforts ensured that a service that is essential for many of the members of our community was accessible and virtually uninterrupted. Please join me in thanking the cast and crew of the Dell Rapids Carnegie Library. All of the people that work at the library have done a phenomenal job this year. Worked very, very hard. I know they're very passionate about what they do, and we really appreciate everything you've done for the community of Rapids. Our next award is the Volunteer of the Year. And the Volunteer of the Year was created to recognize those outstanding volunteers whose unselfish and dedicated service has made a significant difference in their community. This year's recipient has worked diligently researching, organizing, and volunteering for the Sioux River Red Rock Trail. Her works include, but are not limited to, establishing the Sioux River Red Rock Trail Fund in 2006, grant writing to raise funds to extend the trail, work with other local organizations and individuals to add amenities like benches and the pet waste bag stations. I know that was a big one for a lot of people, for the pets along the trail. And this recipient worked hand in hand with me to help an eagle, some Boy Scouts get their eagle. So I really appreciate that on a personal note. Her efforts have helped develop nearly 5 miles of trail, beginning in our city park and extending to places like the Sioux Scenic Overlook and the Dell Rapids Rocky Run Golf Course. The newest edition began in September of 2019. It includes a pedestrian bridge and a half-mile trail to the dam and the southwest corner of Dells. It travels through an area of woods and natural prairie, providing an outdoor experience popular with local residents, sportsmen, and many visitors. While she is still involved with the Sioux River Red Rock Trail, she is now lending those talents to the Dell Rapids Garden Club. We can't wait to see what comes next. Please join me in recognizing this year's Volunteer of the Year, Lindsay Duffy. Thank you. Hey, look at that. They're calling for you.
Thank you. And we feel very blessed to live in such a wonderful community. We do have 2 big projects coming up if you're trail enthusiasts. Next year, they'll be working on Old 77 to get some safe crosswalks there from 7th to 10th Street. There'll be trails along the road and sidewalk hookups, I guess you'd say, so we can start getting kids who want to walk to school or adults who want to go to the grocery store and not get the car out to walk 3 blocks, they can get across safely. And our other hope, and this isn't for sure yet, but we're hoping to get a great a big loop of a trail from the dam to the trestle and back with a crushed rock surface. And hopefully we can get that done this year. That's our plan. So keep watching. We have more exciting things coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. And if you guys would like to contribute to that effort and help it go just a little bit faster, you can go to the Sioux Falls Community Foundation's website. I believe it's sfcf.org.
sfacf.org.
sfacf.org.
Sioux Falls area.
So go to that website and then find the Sioux River Red Rock Trail Fund and donate to it. I know it's been a nice addition. I know a lot of the people that move to the community, they talk about that trail, how wonderful it is, and how nice it is to have that in a community like Del Rapids. So if we can make it go a little bit faster, I know Lindsay and the entire town would appreciate it. Thank you. So now, I'm going to turn the reins over to our next president of the Del Rapids Chamber of Commerce. I've been working with her closely for the last, well, at least 4 years.
7.
Is it 7? It's like a married couple. Wow, it goes by fast. So I'll tell you, Amber has been a phenomenal partner working with her at the Chamber of Commerce. She has been a fantastic treasurer, someone who helps keep our finances in order. She's standing behind me. Quit standing behind me. She's done a lot of great work. I'm excited to hand over the reins to her, not just because it means I don't have to do it anymore, but because I know she's going to do a phenomenal job and help take the chamber to the next level. And I'm very thankful for all of our work together and the time together. And without further ado, our next president of the Del Rapids Chamber of Commerce, Amber Larson.
Thank you. I'm not as versed as he is in this yet, but I appreciate everyone's support, and I know it's going to be a good year because we've got a great crew behind us. So I'm really looking forward to it. I would like to announce the Business of the Year. The Business of the Year Award recognizes members for their growth and contributions to the Del Rapids community. After purchasing an existing business, this year's recipient made numerous investments in facility and equipment upgrades. This business has provided increased job opportunities for our youth, brought league tournaments to the community, and increased student involvement in the sport. Please join me in recognizing this year's Business of the Year pins. Before we go on to our guest speaker, we'd like to take a moment to thank Dan. Don't sit down. For his almost 12 years of service to the Chamber of Commerce. I've been lucky enough to work with him for several years, and I've learned a lot from him too. Our organization would not be where it is today without his dedication and hard work for Del Rapids. He's now planning to step down from the role of president that he's been holding for several years for us. Dan, we'd like to thank you for your time and your effort that you've put into this position over the years. We have a plaque and some gift cards here to show you our appreciation. And also Mayor Tom Early would like to give a few words too.
Thank you, Madam President. All I got to catch that? Matt should, that's right. Madam President, I had to get up, get breakfast ready and to be here this evening, and it's just a great night in Del Rapids. It's just fantastic. First off, I would be remiss if I did not say just make a couple of comments about the Del Rapids Carnegie Public Library and the staff. This May will be 6 years since we rededicated the library after the renovation and the addition. That's been 6 years ago already. That's hard to believe. And under Brittany's leadership and the staff at the library, they have reached into the lives of all these young people in our community. They have brought to them the value of books, reading, and it's just phenomenal. And I think one thing that, that there are people around the country listening to the story times on Facebook, around the country. And here we are in Del Rapids. So I just would like to say thank you for the great work they do. Everybody complains about cities, right? Government, whatever. Here's something that just works perfect. So thank you very much. You guys are here tonight because you support Del Rapids, you have businesses in Del Rapids. The one thing I'd like to say is, why do we do these things? Why do we have a chamber? Our focus, our primary reason is we want to make good decisions, and we want them to be in the interest of our community. We try to do that with city government, and the decisions we make, that should be the first thing we think about. What's in the best interest of our community? The fallout from those decisions impact people and bring about other good results. But through life, when people, their main interest is, what can I do to make things better? What can I do to make my community better? And it all works. And thank you for doing that. Thank you for having that positive attitude towards Del Rapids. We do appreciate that. So, as Madam President has already stated, that Dan has spent quite a bit of time with the Chamber. The city is proud to be able to give the support to the Chamber that we do in our funding. And we were able to greatly increase that here about 4 years ago. And it's been a good thing. Tonight, the city wants to recognize Dan for the work that he has done, his involvement. Quarry Days is a great example. I did not realize how much stuff has to happen and be done, preparations, etc., detail, and Dan was right in the middle. And if it wasn't for the work that Dan has done and the other people he's gotten to support him, a lot of these things would not have happened. So we want to say thank you. So, in my role as mayor, okay, I get to do this once in a while. We have a proclamation here tonight. Whereas Dan Allis has continually demonstrated the qualities of excellent leadership as a member of our local business community, and whereas Dan dedicated over 12 plus years to the betterment of the Del Rapids community through his work and service with the Del Rapids Chamber of Commerce, and whereas Dan oversaw the growth, maturity, and professionalism that describes our chamber today, and whereas Dan worked with the city of Del Rapids to create the position of chamber administrator in 2017, and whereas Dan has been our cheerleader for events such as Quarry Days, Christmas in the Dells, the Easter egg hunt, and all our other chamber events, and whereas Dan has always dedicated himself to supporting and enhancing the business environment in Del Rapids, and whereas Dan has always represented Del Rapids with integrity and respect, and a desire to do what has been best for Del Rapids, and whereas Dan has enhanced the quality of life in Del Rapids for all who choose to make Del Rapids their home, and whereas the city of Del Rapids wishes to honor Dan for his work and dedication to our community throughout his years of service, now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and city council of the city of Del Rapids that we hereby proclaim Monday, February 22nd, 2021, as a day of appreciation for Dan Allers, dated at Del Rapids, South Dakota, this 21st day of February 2021 for the governing body of the city of Del Rapids, South Dakota. And if you would come up here, Dan, I have more for you than just this piece of paper.
Doing the reverses. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate all this, guys. I wasn't expecting this tonight, so thank you very much, and I'll keep helping out. I won't quit. I won't run away, but I'm going to enjoy my more relaxed role.
We are going to go on to our guest speaker. He is currently the superintendent of schools in Florence, South Dakota, which is just outside of Watertown. People don't really know where that is. He lives in Watertown with his wife Sherry and his two daughters, Kendall and Emmy. And he has a passion for kids and building relationships with them. He just happened to have graduated from the same high school my husband has, and they supposedly call it the Harvard of South Dakota. I'm not sure I believe in that, but it's Northwestern High School, just south of Aberdeen and Millette. You might miss it if you're driving by too fast, so make sure you're watching for it. Except I think you're just a little bit younger than Matt, but that doesn't matter.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Through his work, he has learned a great deal about how past experiences and backgrounds play a role in everyday living. He feels the first step to helping those in need is to understand what they're going through. He recently wrote and published a book entitled Cardboard Confessionals. Just happen to have my copy here, which he has some with tonight.
It makes for a good doorstop too. You don't have to read it, you get doorstop.
In the book, he shared the results of a project that he conducted with his psychology class. I recently read the book, and I encourage all of you to read it for yourselves as well. It is about a project with high school students, but I feel much of it applies to every one of us in this room. In one of my favorite sections in the book, he discusses determination. He states this: some of the most important goals we need to accomplish to be successful are developing strong relationships, being open to change, being able to adapt, being true to ourselves, and setting goals to push us to the best version of ourselves. He also speaks about how we all have the power to affect people's lives, even those that we don't even know, and how understanding is the first step in making a difference. This evening's topic will focus on power, our perception of it, the 5 most influential people in our lives, and how to better embrace them. Please join me in welcoming Mitch Reed.
I think she about hit it, so I'm probably done for tonight. It was a tough act to follow after a standing ovation. Congratulations. First, before I get going, I want to thank you guys for what you do for this community. Growing up in a town of 65, she wasn't lying, Amber wasn't, when she said if you drive by it too fast, you'll miss it. But I didn't appreciate it until I got older, all the little things that happened behind the scenes to make my childhood a great experience. And you guys are doing that, whether you're told or not. Some of the things that you guys offer here in Dell Rapids, I actually, the movie theater just down here, I was just talking to Amber and Matt, and I had just watched the news clip on that a couple weeks ago. And you guys are doing good things here, And the kids here have good upbringing because of the work that you guys do behind the scenes. So I appreciate that for me as a kid in my small town, and the kids as they get older, we'll start to appreciate that as well. I appreciate the introduction. I kind of give a little bit, and she added a lot to it, so thank you. That was very flattering. But I did make one mistake. I'm sure Dell Rapids, this community sends people to Boys State every year in Aberdeen. And I spoke there 2 years ago, and I made one of the biggest mistakes as a speaker that I'll never make again. The kid comes up, and he's like, Mr. Reed, I got to introduce you for your session. What do you got for me? I said, just make it up. It's got to be way better than what I got. Let me tell you what he said. Huge mistake. So he goes, Mitch Reed was originally from Hamburg, Germany. He later moved to Woonsocket, South Dakota, where he settled with his family of 7 brothers and sisters. He took up, out at UCLA, he took up mythical creatures as an undergrad. And his right to fame was helping Khrushchev solve the Cuban Missile Crisis. Said, ladies and gentlemen, Mitch Reed, and everyone's like, what the? And then I came up and I started talking about my book, and they're like, that's all this guy did was write this book. So that was a lot better. I think it sets me up for a lot more success than what he did, but so I appreciate it. I got one joke, and then I'll get moving on with what I got going. And it's an education joke. So Johnny struggled in school. Okay, struggled in school. He was at the, you know what, we're in Dell Rapids. I might not want to tell this joke. Pretend we're not in Dell Rapids, okay? So he's at the public school and was struggling there. Well, mom and dad wanted him to have a smaller class, smaller class sizes. So they went to the Catholic school down the road. Like I said, I didn't really think about me being in Dell Rapids here. You guys good with me telling the jokes still? So anyway, he goes down to the Catholic school down the road where they had smaller class sizes. And Johnny, he comes in and after the first day of school, slams the door, right? Slams the door, goes right up to his room, slams his room door, and mom and dad are in the kitchen cooking supper, and they're like, well, here we go again. So this happens every day. They didn't want to mess with it at all. They just were going to let little Johnny do it. So he kept doing it. He kept slamming the door, going up to his room. Mom and dad went to parent-teacher conferences. Really never talked about school. And they realized he was getting straight A's. Well, he was struggling over at the public school. Why is he doing so well at the Catholic school? And his best grade is math, where when he was at the other school, that was his worst class. He was failing that. But he was getting an A+. So mom and dad come home after parent-teacher conferences. They're like, Johnny, what in the world? Because, of course, he's upstairs, right, at his desk working on homework. Johnny, what in the world's going on? You were struggling so much, and now you're getting straight A's. What's the deal? And he's like, well, you want me to tell you? And they're like, well, yeah. Well, I tell you what, my first day of school, I walked into math class at 8:30. And I remember sitting down, and I remember looking right at the front of the room, and there was some guy nailed to an addition sign, so I knew they took their math serious. Now I'm a good Catholic boy, I really am. I tell you what, that was even better that we're in Dell Rapids when I told that joke, I think. All right, this other stuff's way more serious than that was, okay? All right. Three questions. What do you want to do before you die? What makes a meaningful life? And what is something you've given up on? Think about those 3 questions. What do you want to do before you die? What makes a meaningful life? And what is something you've given up on? Those were the first 3 questions that were asked to our student body at Waverly South Shore. Those 3 questions, if you got the answers to them, can help you understand what people are enduring. What their past is like, what their present's like, what their future is going to be. But we never answer those questions. We never take the time to sit down and really answer those questions. What do you want to do before you die? What makes a meaningful life? And what is something you've given up on? In our class, we analyzed what kids answered in those 3 questions. And we learned a lot of important lessons. And this was probably my favorite one in this class. And it was about the importance of time and moments and how they can change in a matter of moments. What do you want to do before you die? I had a student write, golf around at Augusta National. Anyone know what that is, Augusta National, right? Someone want to say it? Golf, okay, because that's like my first test to be like, I'm done now. Because I went to a place and they're like, I don't know where Augusta National is. Like, okay, I'm not speaking to you anymore. Right, golf. It's in Augusta, Georgia, one of the most prestigious golf courses in the world. It's where the Masters is played every year. What a cool dream for a kid to want to golf at Augusta National. 3 confessions later, I had a student write, what do you want to do before you die? See him one last time. See him one last time. Now, what I told those students, do we understand that one moment, our only dream can be to golf at one of the most prestigious golf courses in the world? And moments later, in the blink of an eye, our only dream is to see him one last time. When things can change in a moment. So I asked them, what do you do with those moments? Guys, what do you do with those moments when things can change in a matter of moments? What do we do with that time in between? Because guess what? When we lose something in our life that's important to us, when we lose someone in our life that's important to us, we always go back to those moments and wish we had them back, right? Like, geez, I didn't use those moments right. I didn't use them to the fullest. Those are the ones we always regret. So how are you spending that time? I understand you can't live it to the fullest. You'll have to sleep 16 hours a day. But what do you do with that time when things can change? Something to consider. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this project, Cardboard Confessionals. I actually got the idea when I was driving down Main Avenue in Brookings, and they had a wall that said, before I die, I want to. Did anyone see that wall there? It's pretty cool. Thought it told a lot about the community, right? Yeah, there was white lines on the wall, and you could write what you wanted to do before you died with sidewalk chalk. So I went and did some research, and I found it was a worldwide phenomenon. There are 4,000 walls around the world in 35 different languages in 77 different countries. All around the world. Her name. She's the one that came up with the idea. And she did it in New Orleans. Right after Hurricane Katrina, she painted this abandoned house black to kind of spruce up the community, and it did just that. I thought, what a cool idea. I think if we ask questions like this to students, we could really get to know them. And what I've actually done at a lot of schools that I've went to, I've actually polled these students in the same questions, and the answers have been unbelievable. What do you want to do before you die? I had a student write, save a life. What do you want to do before you die? I had a student write, go a day without wanting to die. What is something you've given up on? My dad. And these kids and people have done it even to some adults as well. I'm actually starting to work on a parent one, and oof, it's unbelievable. Now I appreciate it more with a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old at home. But it's unbelievable what these kids and what these people are dealing with that we have no idea about. So every day, for 7 days, we asked a question. First 3 days, of course, what do you want to do before you die? What makes a meaningful life? What is something you've given up on? The other questions, define your life in 6 words. What's something that's misunderstood about you? What do you think about when you're alone? Questions like that. And what we did is we would put these slips of paper on the table, have them come down to lunch, they'd write what they want, fold it up, put it in the box, and it was done. Curious right away because the kids would sit down and they were quiet for like 5-10 minutes. They were quiet. Nothing was really said. And then after that, they would come up and, Mr. Reed, what's the question tomorrow? I'm like, what in the world? These kids, they're never fazed by anything, right? They just go on with their day. And then it started to make sense. See, these students, as well as you guys here, are pulled in so many different ways. Right? Think about our kids. They've got teachers, they've got parents, they've got coaches, they've got friends, they've got society, they've got other organizations. They're pulled in so many different ways. You guys, we might have some soccer moms out there that are flying around. They don't even know where their house is. You've got organizations, you've got your professional life, you've got your kids, you've got your spouse. We're pulled in so many different ways. How many times are we able to be true to ourselves? See, that's what was awesome about this project. These kids got to sit down and they got to write what made them feel special. They got to be true to themselves. They didn't have to worry about any judgment from anyone else. Like I said, some of the answers we got were unbelievable. I believe this project saved a life. I don't think I did. I believe the project did. Now, if I've got a little time afterwards, I'll share that. But truly, it's unbelievable, this project. They put it in there, and it was like weight off of their shoulders. I just shared some of the answers that we received. And those are kids. And I felt bad about it. That one, what do you want to do before you die? Go a day without wanting to die. I felt bad about that. I had a kid come into my school every single day feeling that way, and I had no idea about it. It's kind of scary, to be honest. But as I was writing this book, or after I got done, I had a lot of people come up to me and say, how in the world did you find time to write a book? And they were right. I had no time to write a book. I was a principal at Waverly, South Shore. I was a basketball coach. I was taking classes to be a superintendent. I was a new dad. I was a husband. The verdict's still out on how I was doing as a husband. I'm glad my wife's not here to answer that one. But I had all that stuff going on, and I found time to write a book. And the reason for that is that it was a priority of mine. At that time, I was dealing with some things that was important to me. It gave me an opportunity to reflect on where I've been and where I want to go. So I did it. Here's the thing I get a kick out of when I go and speak to groups, right? I always ask, like, what's important to you? Like, what makes you tick? And I've heard a lot of answers like, oh, church, Jesus Christ, God. And I always ask, like, well, when's the last time you went to church? Well, 3 months ago. It's not a priority of yours. The way you spend your time is a direct reflection of your priorities. It's really easy to say what's important to us, but if you're not spending time reinforcing that, it's not a priority of yours. So folks, outside of work and sleep and eating and all the necessities, how do you spend your time? Are you running kids around town, being a part of all these organizations? It's a priority of yours. If I've got any educators in here, if you're going home and correcting papers for 3 hours, it's a priority of yours. If you're going up to the local tavern, having a couple cocktails every night, it's a priority of yours. If you don't like what's important and what's a priority in your life, change the way you spend your time. And it'll change everything. As I was writing this book, people continue to fly into my head, right? And stories and different things like that. And I realized 5 people continue to pop into my head. And I wondered why. Well, I realized they were the 5 most influential people in my life. Okay? So for a moment here, I want you to think of the 5 most influential people in your life, just for a moment. You can write them down if you got a pencil, paper, anything like that. 2 or 3 are going to pop into your head right away. The other 2 you're going to think about. I'll give you about 10, 15 seconds to think about it. Who are the most influential people in your life? I'm an educator and I'm not very good at wait time. I just want to keep going, so I apologize for that. So like I said, you probably thought of 2 or 3 of them. You'll think of the few later. I always go out to schools and tell kids that I can read their mind. I really can't. I can't read your minds. But the people you're thinking about, everyone in here, the people you're thinking about right now share 2 characteristics. I guarantee it. 2 characteristics. Are the people you're thinking about now support you? Do they pick you up when you're down? When you fall, they'll pick you up. They'll be there to continue to push you to be a better person. They support you, don't they? And the second thing that you, all the people in here that you guys are thinking about, do they care about you? They care about your past, your present, your future, where you've been and where you're going. They care about you, don't they? They support and care about you. Now, influence is power. When I went and talked to my sociology class, I asked them to tell me the first words that come to your mind or their mind when I say the word power. You want to hear what the first 4 words were? Money, prestige, fame, and status. When I went to them, I asked them, what are the first words you think about money, prestige, fame, and status? Now let me ask you this. These people you're thinking about right now, are they on your list because of how much money they make? Are they on the list because of their status, the job they have? No, they're on your list because they support you and they care about you. But here's the thing about power, guys. If I'd have came in here and said, right when I started, hey, raise your hand if you're powerful, who would have raised their hand? No one. Because we put power on a pedestal and we don't feel like we can achieve it, so we never try. We don't even try. Because it's like we're bragging if we think we're powerful. Right? But the most powerful people in your life are probably super selfless. Because they support you and care about you. It was unbelievable at school when we started doing this and we started giving kids hope and the ability to change people's lives around them. It was unbelievable what they set out to do. When we can bridge that gap to power and make it achievable, it's unbelievable what people around us will do. And then I left for a different job in 3 months. They probably thought I was a coward. But it truly was unbelievable seeing them achieve that power. So after I got done with that, I did another project. We watched a TED Talk. Everyday Leadership by Drew Dudley. It's one of my favorite TED Talks. It's a short one. It talks about appreciating the little things in life and how they can change everything. And yeah, I'm a typical social studies teacher, right? For about a month, we read little slips of paper out of a box, and we watched movies and videos all the time. I was the history teacher that you guys probably all had growing up. But so anyway, after we got done watching that, I asked the students in our class, have all of you guys been impacted by a teacher or staff member here? And they all said yes. I said, great, we're going to write them a thank you. Just a little index card, right? Just, those speech cards when we were in high school that gave us nightmares. So I gave all the students one of them and turned on some music. 10 minutes later, the last few finished up. They got done. I stood up and said, first off, I want to thank you guys for doing this. You have no idea what the people that receive these, what that's going to mean to them. Could change their day, their week, their year, their career. So thank you. But I got a problem with this. They're all like, what in the world? What do you got a problem with? I gave you 10 minutes to write a thank you to someone that's changed and impacted your life. I gave you 10 minutes to do that. For everyone in here right now, if I gave you guys 10 minutes to write about the things that upset you, that frustrate you, that make you sad, that make you angry, how much would we write in 10 minutes? Some of us guys would write novels. Some of us would, because you practice being positive, you practice being negative. The more you practice being positive, the easier it becomes. The more you practice being negative, the easier it becomes. I don't blame us, though. What's the news? What's society? What are they training us to be? Positive or negative? Negative. There's a lot of things in our life that are pulling us towards that negative. And I'm just as guilty. I remember going into a teacher's classroom, and I really liked the way she built relationships with kids. I thought it was fantastic. Thought it was great. So I wanted to thank her in an email. Wrote 3 paragraphs. Took me about an hour and a half to write because I wasn't good at going in and looking at the good things. I was trained as an educator, like I got to go and find these teachers and be able to improve them. I struggle to look at the positives. And now I'm getting better at it. I can write that email in about 15 minutes now. But we do, and we constantly have to continue to be better and to push ourselves to look at the positive. Because there's too many things around us that are forcing us to be negative. So I got 3 stories about power that I want to share with you. The first one, I was coming back from my specialist class up at, down at USF. And I was driving north back up to Watertown. That's where Florence is, by the way. I'm kind of by Watertown, if anyone didn't know that. Coming back up to Watertown, I stopped at that small gas station, the Flying J's, got a couple pumps up here. And I remember going in, and this gas station attendant's like, welcome to the Flying J. It's great to see you today. Thanks for choosing us. I hope you're having a great day. I was like floored. I'm like, what? So most of the time you walk into a gas station and like, pick up after you're gone, you know? So I was like, well, I got to get to know her story a little bit. So I went and got my stuff and walked up to the cash register or whatever, and there were 3 people ahead of me, and for each person, she took 30 seconds to like get to know their story. Like, what brings you to Sioux Falls? Are you married? Do you got kids? And I'm like, I was just baffled. I thought it was fantastic, right? And she did that with me too. It's like, what brings you to Sioux Falls today? How you doing? Is your wife, your kids, all this? And I left, and I'm like, that was really impactful. And the reason for that is because when I walked into that gas station, I felt cared for. And when I left, I felt cared about. By the sounds of it here, we've got business owners, right? You guys have that opportunity as well, whatever you guys are doing in your community. And Del Rapids is a growing community, and you guys are in the news all the time. So you guys must be doing a good job of when people walk into your doors, they feel cared for, and when they leave, they feel cared about. And it's true. I called corporate, I remember that day, and I said, you got to take care of people like that. They just don't come around very often. I remember when I first went out and started speaking, I'm like, I would pay someone good money in my school to stand right in front of that door and say, hey, welcome to the elementary school. You know, we're going to have a great day today. It's good to see you. Work hard today and we'll do great things. And when they leave, hey, you guys had a great day today. Thanks for working so hard. I can't wait to see you back. We're going to miss you. I'm like, I'd pay good money for that person. Then I realized, why in the heck can't that be me? Like, and here's the word, it's busy. I don't like the word busy. It's a mindset. You're only as busy as you make yourself out to be. And you guys all know someone in your life that's the busiest person. You guys all know it too, and it makes you laugh. Like, you talk to them, it's like, I got 500 things to do. It's like, I have not seen you do anything in 2 months. You know? But you guys all know the busiest person. I don't like the word, but really that's what gets in the way of us making an impact, is we feel like we're busy. So we don't do it. I do it all the time. I sit in my office and I'm sitting there thinking I'm so busy, and it's like, I can do this later. So I go out and see kids because that's why I got into education. And it makes my day. I don't know why I don't do that more. I don't do it enough. And I do it like 3 days a week. I should do it 5. I should do it 6. It's just, it's unbelievable. And you guys have that opportunity too. In your positions, in your community, you have the opportunity to be powerful and impactful and support and care for people. So I want to get back to this gal from the Flying J, right? Does anyone know who Mike Rowe is? Right? Dirty Jobs, fantastic. He came and spoke to Watertown. Mr. Danielson, were you in Watertown when he spoke? 2 years ago. He got paid. What do you guys think he got paid to come to Watertown? Big bucks, you think? $100,000. What do you think? Amber only paid me $75,000 to come here and speak to you guys tonight. And people always laugh about that. I remember I spoke at a small school district, and I made that joke. And I said the superintendent only paid me $75,000, and the teachers are like pissed at him. And I'm like, guys, I'm just joking. And I think they're still mad at him today for it. I'm like, I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry I even said that to you. But anyway, Mike Rowe, the reason I brought him up, he said something that turned my childhood upside down. You guys grew up, and I guarantee you heard this. Follow your passion, you won't work a day in your life. You guys heard that growing up? Follow your passion, you won't work a day in your life. He said something that just, like I said, turned my childhood upside down. He said, don't follow your passion. My childhood dreams were crushed. Don't follow your passion. What you need to do is find an opportunity and bring your passion with you. That makes a lot of sense. Find an opportunity and bring your passion with you. And we struggle right now. We're working at it, but we're struggling in schools right now with that concept. Because we're telling kids, like, life's too short to do something you don't like. Follow your passion, right? Follow your passion. And then kids get out and things get hard. Well, passion can't be hard. No. It is hard. Things worth achieving are hard. But we've kind of trained them that, no, that's not passion, so I'm going to go find something else. I'm going to go find something else because passion's got to be easy. and resiliency. Like I said, we're going to continue to work on that, but that's where we're at right now. Kids, I mean, have you guys had kids work for you? Right? I mean, you guys know. And we're getting there. But talking about that gal at the Flying J, my question to you. In 3rd grade, at career day, do you think when they were talking about careers, she raised her hand and said, you know what, when I get older, I want to be a gas station attendant? No. She found an opportunity and she brought her passion with her. And she's changing lives. This happened 5 years ago and I still talk about her every time I come out. Because you can, in any position you're in, you can change lives by just supporting and caring about people. That's all she did. That's all she did for me. And I still talk about her 5 years later. I want to talk about the second story of power. It was a staff meeting in Waverly. We just built a brand new middle school, high school edition. It was fantastic, right? And that first 2 weeks of school, I wanted to bottle up that energy, right? Because you guys kind of know how it gets. That first 2 weeks, kids are really excited to be in school. And then after that, they can't wait for Christmas break. And then after Christmas break, they can't wait for summer break, right? So that first 2 weeks, we really want to bottle that up. So I asked students, what are 2 things you like about school? You know, I mean it. And I asked teachers as well. So some kids, hey, what do you like about school? Nothing, school sucks. All right, Tommy, tough guy. It might not be the math and the science that bring you back, but there are reasons that you come back. And they all agreed. They said, yep, we can find 2 things. Perfect. So what I did is I had them write them on pieces of paper. I gave them to my art students, and on one side of the board, marker board, I had the things staff likes, and on the other I had students. Well, we had a staff meeting that night, and they came in. And they all sat down. It was the first time I stood in front of a meeting with my teachers, and no one was saying anything because they were reading the board. It was great. I said, what do you guys think of the stuff on this board? They said, it's fantastic. That's what I got into education for. I got a problem with this board. What's that? After a little prompting, all students could write 2 things they liked about school. All of them. After a little prompting. Some of these kids on this board would struggle to write 2 things they like about home. It's the truth. You got kids in your community that can write 2 things they like about coming into your store or your business or going to the park. They can write 2 things they like about that, but they struggle to write 2 things they like about home. It's the truth. What a powerful opportunity that we have to change kids and to change people and to impact people and to support people. We all have that opportunity to do that, and we choose whether we take it or not. I want to go to the other side of the board. The staff. 2 things you like about school. Snow days. 4-day weekends. Summer vacation. Air conditioning. Don't get me wrong, I had a lot of teachers that wrote great answers. The kids, seeing them develop. Everything, right? I had a lot, but I had a few that were stuck in a rut. I really did. And again, I don't blame them. Guys, how many in here are in a rut dealing with this pandemic? Some of you guys have been working your tails off just to stay afloat. We're all in a rut, in a sense. And we're in routines. How many people, I know it was a Sunday today, but on a Tuesday, how many of you guys get into a routine where you just wake up and you do the same thing over and over again and you don't think about it? Let me tell you something. When we get into a routine, sincerity tends to be lost. Sincerity tends to be lost. And we start forgetting why we're doing what we're doing. It's the same thing as busyness, right? When we focus on our problems, and we all have people that we know in our life that do that. When you focus on your problems in life, the hills in your life become mountains. And even bigger, almost insurmountable. What I'm asking you to do tonight, why did you all start climbing in the first place? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you here tonight? Why are you raising a family at home? Why are you doing what you're doing? Focus on that rather than the problems you have, and all of a sudden your mountains will become molehills. When I go out and talk to schools, I always say this. I'm always like, it's just like an athlete, right? If a coach tells you to go run 10 ladders, if you focus on the 10 ladders, it feels like 20. If you focus on beating a team in the fourth quarter, it becomes 5. It's all mindset. So that's what I'm asking you when you leave here tonight. Why are you climbing in the first place? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because when we talk about that routine and the little things, and I struggle with this at times, right? Because we sit here and go and go and go, and then until something changes. Remember we talked about those moments at the beginning? Those are the moments you're going to want back when everything changes. And what are we doing with those moments? We don't use them to the fullest potential. My last story about power, a buddy of mine. How much time do we got left? I don't want to keep you guys too long either. 2 hours. No. 2 hours. I like talking. I don't know if I can talk that long. The last story of power was a buddy of mine. We played amateur baseball. He's one of those guys that like lit the room up, right? You guys all know those people that like when you leave them, your gut hurts because you're just laughing so hard. You got to spend more time with those people. You got to spend more time. Life's too short. I remember going off to college after playing amateur baseball with him for a year. And I got a call from a buddy. And they're like, "Did you hear about so-and-so?" I said, "No. Well, he's sick. He's in the hospital." Turns out it was a rare form of cancer, 1 in a million. He was 20 years old. And I remember walking into that room, to his hospital room. I remember walking in, and I looked at his face, and he looked at mine. And it just took him down a level. What started his journey was the cancer, but what ended up killing him was his inability to light the room up. See, his purpose was to light the room up, to change people's lives, and to spend those moments in between to change everyone's day. That's what he did. And when he was not able to do it any longer, he went away. I truly believe that we're all put on this earth for a purpose. And constantly we are searching for what that purpose is. And once we find it, guys, take it and go with it. Because guess what? There's going to be a day where we don't have that anymore. And we're going to miss it. So continue to push forward with that. What makes a meaningful life? I had a student write, "Leave a legacy." What a cool deal. Well, I don't like the dictionary definition of it. It's more or less like bucket list, crossing things off. I don't like that. See, he passed away at 21 years old. And he changed my outlook on what legacy is. He taught me that it has all to do with quality, nothing to do with quantity. He accomplished things in 21 years of his life that 80-year-olds are still trying to accomplish. And you know what that is? To take those moments in between and use them. Every moment you were with him, he had no place else he wanted to be other than talking to you. And that's unbelievable. In this day and age when we got a million other things going on, when you were talking to him, that's all he wanted to do was talk to you. And you could tell in his eyes and in his heart. It really, truly was unbelievable. With him, moments stuck, right? There were things that he did that stuck, and I still think about today, and you laugh about those things. And honestly, guys, there's things that you guys do in your everyday life that people are going to remember 20, 30 years down the road. It might be a small gesture just to show that you care about someone. It might be negative. It might be you're having a bad day at home and you come and take it out on your first customer of the day. They might remember that 30 years down the road, and how powerful is that? I always say that to teachers. It's like, you don't know what these kids are going to remember. And it can be positive and it can be negative, and that's your choice, kind of. I'm going to share a positive and a negative story. I'll share the negative story first. Okay, picture me in high school, absolute stud, just a complete stallion. People always laugh at that too, like they don't believe it. I mean, I came from Harvard. Okay, don't picture me that, yeah, whatever. But I had to wear headgear 18 hours a day. No, I looked good with it on. I was dating my now wife in high school, and she liked the headgear too. So she tells me that anyway. But 18 hours a day, I was an athlete. They were going to break my jaw at an underbite, and I was going to have to miss 6 months of sports. That wasn't going to happen. So I did headgear. And you guys enjoy, I always kind of read the crowd on this, so I'll tell the story about my best friend, right? So I remember walking in the first day of school, because I got it that summer. And I remember sitting in government class. I was in the back row, in the way back, and my buddy, like I come and sit down, and my buddy turns around and he goes, "Nice headgear, dude." And I look at him, I didn't even think about what I was going to say. I just reacted and said, "Dude, I can get a chick with this headgear better than you ever could, so shut your mouth." And he never said a word. He never said a word about it because he knew it was true. So anyway, this was to be a negative story. We'll see if we can get there yet or not. I remember going to a rival school, okay, and I hit 4 threes in the first quarter. I started extremely well, and the 5th one ran in and out, and I got boxed into the opposing crowd. And I remember right before I was about to get up, this kid like slides right over and goes right into my face. And he said, "At least I don't wear headgear, you loser." He didn't say loser, he said a different word that's not appropriate here. But I'm like, I'm just appalled. I'm like, I'm going to go play defense and then deal with you later. And I took off. The joke of the deal was I never played defense in high school. But he said that. And the thing is, I've forgiven him. I mean, the guy's got a nice family. He's a nice guy. He's got kids. He's got a good job. He's a good dude. But I've not forgotten it. Obviously, I'm telling you about it. It was in high school. My question to you, do you think he remembers it? Like, those things happen all the time. Where people remember it, and it's something small. But I'll never forget it. Like I said, I've forgiven him, but I won't forget. And you have the power to do that. I'm going to switch gears and go to the positive one. My grandpa, one of the strongest people I knew in my life, changed my life. He was a superintendent of a school as well. And in May, I remember getting back from college. We were doing landscape and throw rocks around and stuff like that. And in August, he was in hospice care. Cancer took him quick. And I remember when he started getting sick, I remember working that summer and then coming home, go to the post office, grab his mail. And at 6:30, what show would we watch? Thank you. I went to his school and no one knew that either. I said, "Peace, I'm out of here." And actually, I just spoke to a group in Utah, and they're mountain time, so I said 6:30, and they're all like, "Jeopardy?" I'm like, "Jeopardy!" And I'm like, so the times aren't right, so I'm like, I'll give you a pass, I guess. But no, it's Wheel of Fortune, My grandpa was like a ninja at that. I mean, it's like it had to be a rerun. There were like 3 letters and a blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but he's weak. I'm going to get him, right? So I give him his mail, and I sit down, and I lock in. And my grandpa's quiet. My grandpa's never quiet. And I look over, and he's got tears rolling down his face. I don't know if you've seen it, but watching the strongest person in your life cry is horrible. And I look, I said, "What's wrong, Grandpa?" He gives me this letter. And I read it. It said, "Hey, I want to thank you for everything you've done for me. You changed my life. I was in high school. I needed a role model. You were that for me. Thank you so much. I wouldn't be where I'm at without you today." And then it goes on to tell a story. High school story that only like 4 or 5 people remember. I said, "This is beautiful, Grandpa." He said, "No, I got a problem with that, Mitch." I said, "What's that?" "I don't remember that story." I said, "Isn't that the beauty of it though, Grandpa? Think of how many stories have not been told that show that you're impactful. Think of how many stories are untold." I talk about that guy that I lost in the baseball player. We talk about the 5 most influential people in your life. How many of you have told those influential people in your life that they are influential? How many of you went up to those people and said, "I want to thank you for everything you've done for me. Without you, I would not be even close to where I'm at. Thank you. I love you. Have you told all 5?
I didn't count 5. I got
4?
4.
Good. You're a minority. Not a lot of people go out and do that. I mean, I was guilty of it. Here's the thing. I told 4. I missed out on my 5th. And I'll never get to say that again. I'll never get to tell him that. Don't allow people to walk around you not knowing how important they are to you. Because it can change everything. If you were impactful, if you changed someone's life, wouldn't you want them to know? I don't know if I've got any educators in here, but I've probably got a lot of parents in here. If your little one at home does something right and you want them to continue that behavior, what do you tell them? Good job. Woohoo, right? Great work. Keep at it. But we won't tell someone that's influenced our life. We won't reinforce that. We don't do it. Because it makes us feel vulnerable. But guys, people deserve that. You deserve that. People in this room tonight deserve to be told how impactful and influential they've been. So don't allow people in your life that you care for, that have been an influence, to walk around you any longer without knowing how important they are to you. I go and speak to a lot of different groups. One of the groups I spoke to was a nursing home in Watertown. You want to hear what their biggest frustration is? We're forgotten. I said, no, you're not forgotten. You just haven't been told. You haven't been told. Those people are waiting for you to come to them and tell how impactful they are. My grandpa, when he received that letter, it gave him purpose, it gave him fulfillment. He was done. 2 weeks later, he passed away, and I couldn't have been happier for him. You guys all deserve that. But it's kind of a karma thing, right? You got to go out and tell people that, and it will start to come. Continue to support the people in your life and care about them. You can be the most powerful, most influential people in someone's life by just supporting and caring for them. Thordis Alva said this: strive to be the person you needed when you were younger. As an educator, I love that. Simply because so many times in our society, it's what we had and what we didn't have. This said, strive to be the person you had, whether you had it or not. What did you need when you were younger? You strive to do that and be that for kids and be that for your community here in Dell Rapids. You can change everything. You can continue to grow. You guys have already grown to this point, and you will. Because you guys' time that you're spending here changes everything. And like I said, I thanked you from the start, and I'm going to thank you here at the end too. Thank you for the time you spent. You guys don't hear it enough how impactful you are to this community. Because I never said it when I was a kid. But now every time I go home, I find people that have changed my life. And they were just doing what they did. I remember going and doing a book talk. And of course it was a blizzard. That's my luck on the first book talk, first event I have. And the guy comes with a tractor and plows Main Street. And he goes up to the bar and is having a steak or whatever. And I said, thanks for doing this. He's like, we take care of our own. That's what you guys do here in Dell Rapids. You guys take care of your own. And it's an awesome thing to see from an outsider. So thank you for your time. Thanks for bringing me in here tonight. I appreciate you. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks, Mitch. We really appreciate you being here with us tonight. Thank you for your message. Thank all of you as business owners, as members of your companies, for all the work that you do for our community, all the support you give to the chamber. We really appreciate it. We have an impromptu giveaway. So we have some cheesecake and a couple bottles of wine. I asked you guys to put your names in a little wine glass here. And we're going to do a little drawing to give some freebies up. I didn't realize that was that fun. All right, here we go. First winner for the cheesecake Amber Huffa. You weren't lying. He said, I'm putting my wife's name on this because she always wins. Now, that's fake. It's Amber's cheesecake. He doesn't get it. All right. Now we got the wine here. All right. Dig deep, dig deep. What are we doing? Oh, Myron. We got one more bottle of wine. Yes. Here we go. You get the other bottle of wine. Congratulations. On behalf of Amber, myself, and the entire chamber board, we'd like to thank Papa's Pubs. Thank you for a wonderful meal. Thank you for adding the vegan option this year. It was very popular. I know that I was surprised that a number of people had chosen it, so it was good. It was good. Thank you very much. Thank you for always allowing us to use your establishment and letting us host our events here, taking your day off and letting us put you to work. So, round of applause.
Congratulations on the Barter Battle victory. We're coming back for you next year.
You need to play competitive with this one. I like it. It's good. It's good. It's good. We'd also like to thank our sponsors this evening too. Minnehaha Funeral Home, LG Everest, Carson's Contracting, and Jeff Kistler, Farmers Insurance. Thank you guys for supporting our event and helping make this happen. It allows us to get the wonderful speakers that we get, and we couldn't do this without you. Thank you guys very much, and I'm letting Amber do the send-off.
I'm going to be taking donations for our speaker because I didn't realize he was $75,000. See me afterwards. Thank you everybody for coming, and we look forward to 2021.